Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who is ready to go to war for Brock Purdy. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing good. My San Francisco 49ers bet has not looked good the last couple of weeks, but we're still riding. I'm not giving up hope yet.
Yeah, we'll get into that. A lot of stuff to get into, Kyle. This has been I think an interesting. I'll say right off the bat, I don't think this is the most exciting week. I think there's a couple of games I'm really excited for, and then there's a lot of it could be interesting.
Yeah, and I would say the most competitive games are not the best teams. I think that's a big problem too. I do agree though. There are a couple of good games here at the top of the schedule that I'm looking forward to, but. Kind of a weird week overall. But hey, I mean, this is the 1 or 2 weeks a year that we get football, we get basketball, we get baseball, and we get hockey all at the same time. So you're going to have something to watch if you're not looking forward to any of these games.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of stuff. Maybe we'll even do some baseball talk if we have time at the end. Who knows? But Kyle, let's first start off with the Monday night game, as we always do. Before we get into our preview, we will recap the one game we didn't have a chance to on Sunday. People are coming after your guy here, Kyle.
People are coming after the guy, and in classic quarterback fashion, this game was not Brock Purdy's fault.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't think the San Francisco defense played well at all, despite, holding them to 22 points.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the defense played that well. This is the worst rushing game probably of the Christian McCaffrey era for San Francisco. I don't think a lot worked. Trent Williams was obviously out of this game. Looks a little less explosive, obviously, without Deebo Samuel. But hey, man, look, Brock Purdy was 21 to 30, 9 yards per attempt. Obviously, the last interception, he's trying to make a play, wasn't his best throw. But I hardly think this game was Brock Purdy's fault. I don't think he was even one of the 5 biggest culprits of this game. So I just thought it was a poor game for San Francisco overall. You take the lumps here, hopefully get some of these guys healthy, although it sounds like Purdy might not play next week. So we'll see how Sam Darnold does. But overall, I'm not worried about Brock Purdy from this game.
No, I'm with you. I think that the Brock Purdy. He had a bad interception. His first of the 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter. The first one was bad. It was, I think it looked worse due to receiver getting thrown up. I still think it was missed even with that. So I'm with you. I have to say, Kyle, I kind of feel like going into this season, the reason why I was a little bit lower on the Niners than you were, although everyone thought the Niners were at least a contender. Before we get into this, just letting everyone know at the top, we're doing this at going to be at a new time for this 5 o'clock. I wanted to say this. We're going to do this 5 o'clock for the next couple of weeks as well, right? So for next 2 weeks, we will also be doing 5 Eastern. So this is going to be our semi-regular time. So wanted to say that at the top. But back to the 49ers. The preseason, I had concerns about the offensive line and the cornerback depth and the secondary depth. And I feel like both those things were concerning in this game.
I would agree with that. I forget the guy's name. I'm sorry. That replaced Trent Williams. I thought he did all right, but it's just different when Trent Williams isn't out there. He changes the entire offensive line when you have probably the best offensive lineman in football. So that feels like a huge step down, even if I think he did okay. And then, the Minnesota receivers had a lot of success in this game, and that's probably the biggest concern you're looking at if you're the San Francisco defense is that your secondary got beat pretty good. And Kirk Cousins, I thought, I didn't think this game was Purdy's fault, but on the other side, Kirk Cousins was fantastic in this game. It was one of his better games of the season. And, maybe Primetime Kirk is a real thing because this guy has been pretty good in their two big games, and he diced the San Francisco secondary.
Yeah, he's it's the other side of the coin for primetime Kirk. And the Vikings are, everything we're all talking about the 49ers, but Vikings all of a sudden are 3-4. I mean, they've lost in, obviously 4 one-score games. They win a one-score game, so not going to go over in that category. But you have to feel like this is I mean, I don't know. They're a potential playoff team here. Also, super chat. Good evening from the UK. Go Bears. Well, thank you for that, Chris. And I'm sorry about how your Bears are doing.
Yeah, that's a tough team to pick from the UK. You might want to reevaluate that. But
Yeah,
thank you for
really.
the super chat. What were we saying? Sorry.
Vikings playoffs potentially.
I mean, you can't discount it. I still don't think they're going to catch Detroit. I know Detroit got punched in the mouth last week, but as we continue to say, the 7 seed feels up for grabs for the NFC. They're certainly going to be in the conversation. And while I still think it's a lot less explosive without Jefferson out there, they did pretty good in this game. They certainly didn't have their issues. And it starts with Jordan Addison having a big game. And, that's looking like a heck of a pick there. So, if Addison's able to step into these shoes and play this well, then yeah, I do think Minnesota can probably be in that contention for the 7th playoff spot.
Yeah, well, I mean that was the play too, right? Like that big. I don't really know what the Niners were doing with that all-out blitz at the end of the half. They decide to, Cousins just throws up a jump ball. Ward seemingly has Addison, rips it away from his hands and gets a touchdown out of it. I did the math. So Kirk Cousins' passer rating in that game was 107.2. If that was an interception instead of a touchdown, it would have gone down to 85.
Yeah, that's a significant swing.
Yeah, passer rating can be a bit of a fluky stat in a small sample size.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, a good win for the Vikings. I think the 49ers now look vulnerable. I think there's some cause for the concern. I still think they're, in the conversation for a Super Bowl contention. I'm not wavering on that. I still think they're going to be there at the end of the season. But, after a very impressive Philadelphia win and a very, concerning couple of 49ers losses, all of a sudden you'd probably say the pendulum swings in Philadelphia's direction here for when we're talking about the top 2 teams in the NFC.
Yeah, and then San Francisco has to play Cincinnati, which we'll talk about. Brock Purdy might not be able to go. I mean, this is, it's starting to, it felt 2 weeks ago, 49ers were the clear-cut Super Bowl favorites, it felt like. It's not the case anymore.
Yeah, definitely doesn't feel the case. Once again, Super Bowls are not won in September, but I still think this team's going to be in the conversation in January too. So we'll see. If I were to give you a pick right now between Puka Nacua, Zay Flowers, Josh Downs, and Jordan Addison, who would you take?
I think I'm picking Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Addison's got the 6 touchdowns, though.
Addison's been very good. He's been very good. I don't know. Nakua's been amazing, though. Nakua's like setting records.
Yeah, he's 3rd in receiving this year, so I can't complain about it. So I guess, I know how you feel about this conversation, so I may be just throwing you the Jimmy Moore fastball right down the middle. But, those 4 receivers are top 25 in receiving yards this season. So is it fair to say that any team not drafting receiver in the first half of the draft is doing it wrong at this point?
Well, I mean, again, you don't necessarily have to draft someone right away because again, Puka Nacua wasn't drafted first, right? So in the first round, right? So like
it's
all about
the draft. Doesn't have to be first round. Yeah,
I see. I think my expression has always been if it's a mistake if you don't draft a safety or a receiver in day 2. Never let a day 2 of the draft go by without getting at least one safety or wide receiver.
Yeah, it's definitely feeling that way. Every year, there's like 3 or 4 awesome guys right away.
Yeah,
and it's good value contracts at this point because good receivers are making a ton of money.
Yeah, no, completely agree. One other point I have to say, we have a lot to get to, and we're going to try to make this not be a long show, and we're already going long on the first game, but there's so much to get to in this one. Brock Purdy's numbers do go down a little bit when blitzed. Flores blitzed him a lot. Maybe something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few things to watch for this Niners team going forward. Obviously, the big thing is like if they can run the ball as well as they usually do, like it's not, you're not going to be able to blitz Brock Purdy all the time, right? You're not going to have that sort of success. So, if they're able to keep the pressure off him, he's still very good. But, I think it's going to be interesting watching Sam Darnold in this game Sunday. There's going to be a lot of takes about no matter which way this goes about Sam Darnold at quarterback for the 49ers.
Yeah, let's get into this week with Kyle. You're slowly chipping away. Helps when I don't get any games right. That makes it easier.
Yeah.
But still, chipping away.
Chipping away, indeed. This should be a fascinating week. Didn't have a very good week myself, but I at least got a couple games right, so I guess that's a step up.
Yeah, if it's doing what you can. Not the worst here. So Kyle, still behind. Why don't you give me a game?
I'm not picking this game. Jaguars at Steelers.
Jaguars. Yeah, I think is this you were burned last time from the locking up against the Steelers?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's one of those things where it's like on paper, I think you could argue this is a lock as well, candidate for Jacksonville, but no way I'm making that mistake. I am picking Jacksonville to win. I think the Jaguars have started to look better. Defense is very good, and the Steelers offense still hasn't been great. Kenny Pickett looked better last week. We'll see if he can build off of that. But I still think this Jaguars defense is very good. And again, as long, I guess the concerning thing about this, right, is TJ Watt could have like 10 sacks in this game.
Definitely could have 10 sacks in this game, but at this point, it feels like you could do that in almost any game.
Sure.
The Steelers offense, like you said, Pickett probably had his best game of his career, not his career, of this season at least, last week. He made some big plays in that one, and they're getting George Pickens involved. Deontay Johnson really helps. That being said, this is a good secondary for Jacksonville, so, it could be, a strength against strength. We'll see if, a big part of this is Andre Cisco and Tyson Campbell both have to play. They're both questionable. But if they can get those guys to go, I do like Jacksonville too. But this Pittsburgh defense, man, they're just filled with playmakers, and it makes it such a toss-up sometimes, it feels like. So I do feel like it can kind of go either way.
It does feel, Lawrence, I still feel he's been very good this year. He still is someone that can put the ball in harm's way, right? And that's kind of the key to beating the Steelers, is what we always talk about. Just don't make mistakes. Just play sound football. Don't beat yourself, and you're going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, that's how you do it. But they get you to make mistakes.
Yeah, they're going to hunt for those mistakes. They will find them. So, ball preservation is going to be important, controlling the clock, that sort of stuff, because Pittsburgh's going to try and, win that sort of style. They're going to try and make this game chaotic on defense, and they're going to try and, they're going to try and slow the game down on offense. So that's their game plan. How Jacksonville handles it, we'll see, because they're playing a professional team. I think this Jacksonville team has looked good this year. I don't think it's looked great, though, And I think I said it on Sunday. It's like we want to see a little more explosiveness. There's a lot more talent in this offense. Can we see this offense boom a little bit more? I think that'll be the key in this game. I think they need to hit a couple big plays.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that this is a game that, on paper, they should be able to schematically do well. Also, Joe in the chat saying, smash that like button. 50 viewers equals 50 likes. I love the super chat to get us to ask the audience to hit the like button. That's like Devil helping us out.
I know. Look at all that. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. The great fan of the show, Joe.
Yeah, he's locked in. We got a few regulars in here I'm seeing. So thank you for tuning into the new time.
Yeah, we appreciate you hanging with us. We like to mix things up. We don't want to make it easy for everyone.
Right, exactly. We got to keep everyone on their toes. See who's really loyal to us.
Yeah, exactly. Any final thoughts on the Jaguars Steelers?
No, I think we just about covered it. Similarly, do you trust Kenny Pickett to not make mistakes against this Jaguars defense? Because I think that's also in play.
Yeah, a fair point. We'll see how it goes. Let's move on. I'm glad when you said I don't want to pick this game. I thought you were going here. Saints Colts. We're starting the show with the games everyone's excited to watch. I think. I have no idea what to make of either of these teams. Kyle, you pick the game.
Yeah, I put Saints ? This was next on my list too. Don't love this game either. I don't know why I keep talking myself into this stupid team, but I'm going to do it again. I don't trust Gardner Minshew, backup quarterback against Dennis Allen's defense, so I'll take the Saints in this one. Slim margin, though. Another one I feel like can go either way because, in theory, the Saints should be winning this game. They're significantly better defense. I mean, the Colts defense is good. The Saints defense has been really good. It's been one of the best run defenses in football, top 3 in the league. and it's going against a team that has Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss. That's what they're going to want to do more often than not. But the Saints team just constantly leaves a lot to be desired. So I can't trust it, but I can't talk myself out of it. They're like heroin. You just can't quit it. Give me the Saints.
Yeah. It wasn't expecting the heroin reference. I definitely if you're a big offensive lineman or a big lineman fan in general, the Colts offensive line versus the Saints defensive line should be a very fun matchup. I am fascinated in how this Gardner Minshew thing is going to go. He's been so up and down for his whole career, really. You don't want to bet, in any direction. I do think this Saints team is kind of good. Like I kind of feel like the Saints are going to win this division. Like I know they keep losing football games, but like, they've been impressive in some of these games. I did think that we saw Garrett Carr kind of wake up at the end of that Jaguars game. They need to put it together for a whole game, and we haven't seen that. And this Colts defense is no slouch. I mean, it has played well at times this season. So, its overall statistics are around mediocre. The Saints' overall statistics, EPA per play, they're fourth in football. So, like, definitely the Saints have the edge there. But it's definitely a game that could go either way. I do think the Saints should be favored, though. I picked the Saints.
Yeah. It really does feel that way. I mean, for all the complaints we have about the Saints, like, they're the 22nd worst passing offense EPA was, despite all the talent. The Colts are 20th. Like, the Colts are not that further ahead offensively, even if we feel a little bit better. We just have higher expectations for the Saints. So, In theory, the Saints are the better team. They have more talent across the roster. They should win this game. But what do you think it is about this team? Is it a coaching thing? Is it just a cohesion thing with all these new faces, including new quarterback? What is it about the Saints team that you feel like is letting us down so far?
I mean, there's a combination of things. I do think that the coaching is a factor. I don't think Derek Carr is playing that great of football. Like, I think that's a big part of it. Is Derek Carr is kind of looked like last year's Derek Carr.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to push the ball downfield, right? Especially if he has these guys. I mean, I don't know what the Olave situation is going to look like this week, given that the viral video and all that kind of stuff. We'll see if he plays or what's going to happen there. But at the same time, like, having Carr still with Rashid Shaheed and Michael Thomas and some of these guys should be able to have some success, I would think. So if he's able to he's got to be able to push the ball down the field a little bit. He can't take the check down every play. And if he's able to do that, I think the Saints team could have success.
The other thing, Saints offensive line has been at times rough this season, but I don't know if the Colts really have the guys. I don't think their defense line's horrible, but I don't know if I'm like afraid of it either. So I don't know if this is the game, or maybe they'll be able to look good against some rough patches in the offensive line. So we'll see.
Yep, completely agree with that.
All right, let's move on. Give me a game.
Browns at Seahawks.
Browns Seahawks. Let's see. Where is this on my? There it is. Browns Seahawks. Kyle. The Cleveland Browns are my new New York Giants, I think. Not in the sense of like last year, I thought the New York Giants were just like a bad football team that were somehow like winning games. That's not how I feel the Browns. I think the Browns are like an okay football. I think they're a good football team, but I don't think that they're like, I feel like people are almost putting them in like the championship contending tier. I just don't see them that way. I'm picking the Seahawks.
I think so too. My dog wants to leave now. Go. Are you leaving? Okay, never mind. Anyway, sorry about that. I would agree with that. I mean, I don't think the defense is as bad as they played last week. Why am I glowing? Anyway, I don't think the defense is as bad as they played last week. But maybe it's not as great as it looked the first few weeks too. So, which probably leaves me right in the middle. Like, I think this is a solid football team kind of across the board, but a solid football team across the board with a tier 5 quarterback is not ideal. That's not gonna move the needle really for me. So I think there are really good parts about this team. I still think this defense is good, but I do not think I agree right now with the way the offense is playing, and specifically the quarterback position. I just don't think it's enough to really like move me towards pushing this team further than what it should be.
Yeah. I mean, there's things to love about this defense, but it's just like, I don't know. Here's the thing, Kyle. Everyone's saying that this team looks better with PJ Walker out there. Like, everyone's like, hey, looks a little better with instead of Watson. PJ Walker's guess PJ Walker's PFF grade.
Last.
Yes, last in football. It's 29.5. That is the guy who everyone's like, hey, looks a little better with him.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, and that's the problem is that the problem is that Watson looks like he could be as bad as PJ Walker. Not that PJ
Yeah,
Walker
right.
is playing well. You know, this team's in desperate need of. Do they make a trade at this point? Like, is it crazy to say this team should trade for a quarterback?
I don't think
Should
it's
they bring
crazy.
Jacoby Brissett back?
Well, yes, that's what they should do. Like, you don't have to go out and get like Kirk Cousins or Ryan Tannehill if they don't want to be, those teams don't want to trade. Like, you can get just a fine backup. Someone like Case Keenum, what's he up to? Like Davis Mills. You know, like there's guys who are like just go out and get that guy. That's what I think they should. I do think they should make that happen. I also have to say, listen, I get none of us like Deshaun Watson. Like, fine. I do think he's like apparently it's like a rotator cuff injury that he's trying to play with in his throwing arm. Like, that seems like it's probably going to hurt your ability to throw the football, right? Like when the like main ligament that you use to throw the football like isn't healthy. Like, that seems like that maybe you shouldn't be out there in that scenario.
Yeah, and really it was one person who's like one of the infamous Cleveland Browns bust anyways. So you know, I only heard it from Brady Quinn, but I don't know. Like I think
heard it
he's
from other people as well, but he was the most notable one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's actually hurt. I do. But at the same time, he hasn't looked good when he's been healthy. So I don't, you know, he had one good game this season. I don't know really how to I just don't know how to judge that. I don't know how to judge it regardless. I don't know if even if he's healthy, I'm feeling confident about this Browns team.
Joe in the chat is begging them to take Daniel Jones. So, well, we'll see if that'd be a good move.
Could you imagine a team with Daniel Jones and Deshaun Watson?
Incredible. Paying $80 million a year for that kind of quarterback play.
Liquor sales in Cleveland would just go through the roof. Oh my gosh.
I'd imagine they're already pretty high with some of the quarterback play they're getting, but yet they keep winning football games. So
30 years
we haven't
of
talked
quarterback
about
play.
Yeah, really, no kidding. We haven't talked at all about the Seahawks. They haven't, you know, Geno Smith hasn't looked great this year, and that's the way Cleveland can win this game is if they can get Geno to make more mistakes.
And that's perfectly possible. And
yeah,
you know,
for sure.
We saw in glimpses last week that, you know, not in glimpses, basically the first half. Myles Garrett's a one-man wrecking crew. We have seen this Cleveland secondary play better than it did last week. Last week was really poor. I don't really know what happened there. They did not play well in the secondary. But I still think Denzel Ward's good. You know, I still think there's guys out here that can really play. So, you know, they could force mistakes in this game, no doubt. They can definitely have their way at points.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
No, I gave you that game.
Oh, that's right. Oh man, back-to-back weeks now I've done this. I even thought I was supposed to give you a game and then corrected myself and said, "Oh no, it's your turn." Okay, well I feel good about this. I'm going to give you Bengals at 49ers. The Niners 3.5-point favorites. And I just got this line. I'm not sure if it's been updated since Brock Purdy's been potentially out, but we'll go with the 3.5-point line for now. Kyle, who do you have winning this?
I got to take Cincinnati, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's too many injuries piling up for San Francisco. Cincinnati's playing its better ball the last couple weeks. And I think Jamar Chase is going to be a problem for the San Francisco defense that we saw last week on Monday night. So if it looks like that San Francisco defense going against Jamar Chase, I got to take the Bengals in this one. I think it's going to be close though. Neither one of these teams are going to put up a ton of points.
Yeah, I mean, but what happens if the Bengals receiving core does go off in this one? Like, how are we viewing the Niners? Like, the Niners felt so untouchable just 2 weeks ago. I mean, we're on the verge of like a meltdown here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to look a lot different if they get beat up in this game. They're probably going to have to trade for a corner if they get beat up in this game. You know, you got to get desperate at that point. Yeah, I don't really know how to judge it. I mean, we're going to have to see how it looks, but it certainly is concerning the way they looked Monday night. So, you know, if the Bengals are perfectly capable of going nuts on this team, and if they do it coming off their bye week, I think we can hit the panic meter in San Francisco a little bit. Not like I'm saying blow this team up or anything like that, but for a team as we had as the Super Bowl favorite, that would be concerning.
Yeah, and again, if Brock Purdy's out there, I think I feel much better about, and part of why I don't want to pick this game is because we don't know how he's going to, you know, what's going to happen. If he's playing, I do still think that they can scheme up ways to score points in this game. I do. I don't think it's crazy. But again, it's like, well, we know about Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard. Like Colton McKivitz has not been great this season as the starting right tackle. That was a concern we had. He hasn't been great. Really, the only offensive lineman that's been great for the 49ers is Trent Williams. Now, he's amazing, but like still, what's his health going to be? So there's some concerns with the 49ers, but at the same time, it's Kyle Shanahan. He's going to scheme stuff up. They still have a great pass rush. They can get after Joe Burrow. That's a real concern for Cincinnati. So I get why they're favored. I also do have Cincinnati winning, though.
Yeah. It's going to be a fascinating matchup. It really is. I think, what if Cincinnati is just this team that doesn't play well in September? Like, what if this is legitimately them and they look like the team that, they look like a Super Bowl contender next week? Like, they could win this game straight up, even without talking about San Francisco's injuries. And now that San Francisco's a little beat up, if this is the Cincinnati team we see the potential in, they could have a lot of success in this game.
Yeah, and the reasoning for them kind of starting slow does make sense to me, right? Like the fact that the fact that they were so injured to start it, but it's still like you got to win. I mean, if you lose this game, like you're going to be in trouble. Like they do need to start winning a football game, and they've already started it, but they need to keep it going. And if they lose, I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, it's a tough division. Falling to 3-4, like this is, I think, a big win for Cincinnati.
Yeah. That's the other thing, too. So Cincinnati losing this game potentially, I mean, they're already behind. I mean, there's a chance that they're multiple games behind Pittsburgh and Cleveland, never mind Baltimore, if they lose this game. So, there's not a lot of, there's not a lot of margin for error for Cincinnati still. That we already knew that after their poor start. But, they really kind of have to start stacking up the wins, and it starts with a really tough game this week.
Yeah, it's possible they could be a game and a half out of the playoffs if things go poorly this week, but we'll see if that happens. All right, Kyle, now you give me a game.
All right, giving you a game now. Two teams coming off wins that we're really excited about, Jets and Giants.
Jets, Giants. Yeah, it was. I was considering this one as well to give to you, but I'll go with the Jets. The Jets defense has looked really good. I still don't know how much I trust the Giants offense. In fact, I'm pretty sure I do know how much I trust this Giants offense, which is not that much. The Jets still have a good defense. They've been playing better football offensively. For the Jets, hey, Aaron Rodgers is supposed to come back. You want to try and make a playoff run. This is a game you have to win.
Is he actually going to come back?
Oh, yeah, he's coming back.
Says who?
Says him.
Oh, boy.
No, I made a whole video. Basically, I made a video on this, but for anyone who missed it, essentially the idea is it's sort of one of those things where he's kind of taking some risk in trying to get back quickly. There is I think a 2 to 4% chance that things could go really wrong in trying to do this, which is why usually you don't see guys trying to come back from this kind of injury this quickly. But yeah, it seems like at some point it's a risk he's willing to take. You could lose some long-term mobility, but it seems like that's a risk he's willing to take at this point in his career.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. If he actually does come back, I will be impressed. So Jets and Giants, breaking this down. I guess this is a concern for every Giants game. But there's a chance this defensive line for the Jets kind of overwhelms them, right?
I don't see how that doesn't happen. I don't see where's the other. How does that not happen?
Yeah, that's true. But I also think the Jets offensive line's not good either. And the Giants defensive line's pretty good. This could just be neither one of these teams are throwing the ball downfield right now, except for the occasional Jalen Hyatt bomb. There's a chance that this game is just played within 10-yard increments for both sides. And, those games kind of get toss-uppy. So, I don't trust the Giants offense. I agree. But if it takes one drive to potentially win this game, yeah, I'm sure they could cobble together one drive and maybe score. So, this game's going to be played in 10, 15-yard increments, and maybe the Giants pull it out that way. So both of these lines of scrimmage, I think, are going to be really important.
Absolutely. And I do think that, Zach Wilson's played nice these past few weeks. He's been He's been a fine backup quarterback at these past few weeks, which is all the Jets feel like they need in a game like this. But is that old Zach Wilson going to come back? Is he going to make some turnovers? You're still waiting for that to happen. There is that possibility. And for the Giants, all their faults, they do have the ability to make big plays defensively.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they got some studs on the line. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau's feels like quietly. I don't think he's talked about as much as Aiden Hutchinson. He's put together a really nice season, I think. And he's got Lawrence and Williams. Obviously, Lawrence is a stud. So there's a lot of guys there. They can create some turnovers. They can create some havoc for sure. It will be interesting to see if they can, kind of force some mistakes out of Zach Wilson, because that's the big thing. I even think the Jets offensive line's played better the last couple of weeks. And I think a lot of it is that, they are making sure Wilson gets the ball out as quickly as possible. They're not letting him make decisions anymore. It seems like at times. So I think all of that is kind of helping, but can they force Zach Wilson to kind of go to a second option, make a second read, and make a mistake potentially? So, I think that's going to be the question going into this game.
Also, weird game of, you think it's technically Jets at Giants, but same stadium.
Same stadium. So, who do you think has more fans? Although I guess technically it's got to be Giants, because I would assume their season ticket holders get the seats.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so, yeah, I guess so. But I would assume just Giants in general, right? That's how I feel like it is.
From what I heard, they're the more popular team in New York. But
how does that work? Like, if you're getting into football, is it just whichever team happens to be better? That's probably the team. You start rooting for both teams, but then, it's whichever team? Or is it because I get probably most people, it's like their dad is a Jets fan or their mom is a Jets fan, and they become a Jets fan. But I feel like it's also, when you're young, it's like, well, the Giants are in a Super Bowl, I'll root for them.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. I know I'm pretty close with two New Yorkers. One is a Giants fan, and one says he was a Jets fan, but now he roots for Patrick Mahomes. So,
Okay.
Real fun guy. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how that works. All I know is that the more popular pick is the Yankees, Giants, and Rangers, and then the Jets, Islanders, and I guess Mets are the second teams.
Yeah, but I don't get how the Islanders ended up being the second team though.
Yeah, they were awesome for how many years?
Right, they won 4 straight Stanley Cups. So how did they end up being the second team? Joe.
Well, they didn't play in. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Joe said, "I'm a Giants fan because of my dad." Literally, yeah, that checks out. I guess it's probably just Madison Square Garden versus Long Island.
Yeah, I would imagine that played a big part.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, any final thoughts on this one?
No. Let's move on. That was a weird tangent. We can keep going.
Hey, wouldn't be the show without some of those.
New Yorkers, feel free to chime in. I don't care.
This might feel like a bit of a reach, but I don't know. This line feels big, and some of these other lines feel small to me. I'm going Rams Cowboys, Kyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was kind of eyeballing this game. I don't really know what to think. My one concern is we've talked about how this Cowboys run.
Oh, did we lose Kyle for a second? Okay, again, chat. Let me know if this is a.
I don't know did you lose me?
Yeah, I lost you for a second.
Oh, that was weird. Oh, my internet just randomly. Anyway, without Kyron Williams out there, we talked about this Cowboys defense, how the run defense is suspect sometimes. Without Kyron Williams, I don't know if the Rams can really take advantage of that as much. And if they can't, obviously they still have Nakua and Kupp, which is a dynamic duo, but do you have as much success against this Cowboys pass defense, which is good because they have good pass rush and they have good corners. So I got the Cowboys winning this one. I don't feel overly comfortable with it because I do think this Rams team is still explosive despite some bad losses here. So I got the Cowboys by a slim margin.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like you're going to just, don't have Myles Garrett on Rob Havenstein this entire game. Just have him on the other tackle.
Micah Parsons.
Just say Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons. Do it that way. Do you think Micah Parsons is a little bummed that TJ Watt apparently can also play off-ball linebacker really well?
Probably better than Micah Parsons, what we saw last week.
Yeah, it was a great play. So for Stafford, he'll have some Vietnam level flashbacks if he throws an interception to Parsons in this one.
Yeah, yeah, honestly. So, you know, this Cowboys team still creates turnovers. They really do. They
Yep.
still create a bunch of mistakes, and Stafford isn't afraid to make some mistakes. He's not afraid to take a few chances with the football. So maybe the Cowboys take advantage in this game. I don't know. It feels like it could go either way, but it does feel like that the Cowboys are still a more talented team.
Yeah, and Cowboys offense, it's statistically done all right this year, but I'm still am kind of, I guess I'm still just confused and like waiting to see more information with both the Rams defense and the Cowboys offense this year. I think.
Yeah. I don't know, man. They're not explosive, right? Like it just doesn't feel like they push the ball at all. I mean, they have like CeeDee Lamb, they have 18 plays 20 yards or more, and 10 of them are for CeeDee Lamb. Like there's just nobody else who really gets downfield like that.
Yeah. Also for the Rams, it's just, I mean, you don't want to go down to 3-5 here. Like I think that there's still a team that even if they lose, they have a chance to make the playoffs. They have plenty of winnable games left on the schedule, but this win would go a long way.
Yeah, I mean, we're just reaching the midway point of the season here. But looking at this number, a loss doesn't derail them because the 7th seed right now is Tampa Bay at 3-3, Minnesota 3-4, Rams 3-4, Balls 3-4, Saints 3-4. So so it's there's a few teams that are going to compete for that spot. So a loss doesn't derail them, but eventually you want to jump ahead a few of those teams, right?
Yeah, they got to start putting those wins together. And Stafford has to protect the football better, which we know he can do. So yeah, it should be an interesting one. Any final thoughts on this one?
No, I think I'm good. Let's move on.
All right, now you give me a game.
All right, I think you're picking this game as a lock. I feel pretty good that you're picking as a lock, and let's do Vikings at Packers.
I'm locking it up. Let me lock up the Minnesota Vikings here. Who would have thought I'd be locking up the Vikings after all the trash I've talked about them? I don't get this line. Only 1 point. I get it's in Lambeau, but I don't know. Vikings offense looked solid last week. I'm still not going to say it's like a dominant offense. I think they'll be able to score in this game. And I don't know. I think Brian Flores has made this Vikings defense way better than it should be right now. Like it's still like finding ways to make things happen. I am concerned about how Jordan Love is going to play against this blitz heavy team and how he's going to do there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd agree with that. I think you can't be pleased with what you've seen from Jordan Love so far the last few weeks. What is this Packers team good at? What's its identity?
Great fans.
Great fans.
Great stadium, iconic colors.
Yeah. But what is it good at on the football field?
On the football field. Running the ball. Well, have good running back play.
I mean, they have good running backs.
Yeah,
I mean,
running backs is right. That's what they're good at.
They're 16th in rushing EPA. Like their strongest unit just on EPA, if you go pass defense, run offense, pass offense, their strongest part of their team right now is pass offense, which is 11th best in football EPA per play. And I don't think anybody would watch and say this is a great passing offense.
Yeah.
And we know it's not a good special teams unit.
Right.
Like, I don't think they're horrible at anything, but I also don't think they're good at any one particular thing. Like they're below average to like maybe average at everything. And I think that's a problem, including quarterback.
Yeah. The flip side though is wouldn't this just be so Vikings to lose this game?
Yeah. That's why I'm throwing this to you, because this has all the makings of something ridiculous happening. So
just like you never want to lock up against Mike Tomlin, it is a little scary locking up on the Vikings here, especially in Lambeau. I mean, it's cliche, but it's true. It is a tough place to play, but I don't know. I mean, Kirk Cousins is clearly a better quarterback. Even without Justin Jefferson, they clearly have a better receiving core. Like those are the two main things you look at. I kind of think they cover better right now than Green Bay, and I definitely trust their defensive coaching a million times more than Green Bay's right now. Like, I think for Green Bay, I guess you're going to try to run the ball a lot. You hope that you get some big plays, which they can. That is possible. And you hope you get good Jordan Love because he has shown some good moments. But I don't know if Jordan Love's had a single clean game in the NFL.
Yeah. And the thing you talked about with Flores and that he is doing a good job there. And I agree with that. He's sending the house a lot. He is blitzing
Yeah.
a ton. And I haven't seen Jordan Love's blitzing stats, but how does a young quarterback handle that pressure? And he's made mistakes. He really has made mistakes to start his career or start his first season as a starter. He has made some mistakes. Can he avoid those mistakes while seemingly he's going to see pressure, and even when they don't blitz, Danielle Hunter is going to get after him too. So how does he avoid those mistakes?
Yeah, right. Because weirdly, Danielle Hunter he's leading the league in sacks, which is just one of those like he's a good player, but obviously that's like highly misleading. Jordan Love's numbers are a little better when blitzed as opposed to not blitzed, though. So maybe advantage there.
Yeah, maybe an advantage there. I do think Danielle's been sick. It's definitely he's not an elite edge rusher, but I agree he is very good. But he has had a really good year, and I think it's been important that he's been pretty good this season.
Yeah. So interesting stuff between these two teams. Want to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I'm going to give you a game now. I don't know. I guess I'll go here. Falcons, Titans. Are you going to lock up Atlanta here?
I'm not going to lock it up. I can't trust this team. Absolutely not. I don't even know who's going to get the ball week to week. So I will take Atlanta to win, though. This is currently the best run defense in football resides in the ATL. So how about that? The Falcons' stifling run defense going against this Tennessee team, whoever they're playing. This Tennessee team who is playing Will Levis and Malik Cunningham? Question mark.
Malik Willis.
That seems like a bold choice. Will Levis is going to start, but I don't love that. I don't love two quarterbacks seemingly playing. I don't love a team that's going to defend the run well against Tennessee because I don't trust them to throw the ball downfield. Falcons. Give me the Falcons, and I don't trust them enough to bet Lockett, but I think if I were to bet a side, I would bet Falcons -3.
Yeah, I considered if you gave me this one, I probably would have locked it up for Atlanta. I just think that again, the two quarterback system, and it seems like Will Levis is going to get the majority of the snaps. I mean, what are we doing here, Mike Vrabel? I mean, I don't know. Have the guy you think is the better player start, unless you're just ready to see what you have for the future, I guess. Which that I can understand the logic if you're just in full tank mode, which they did trade away Kevin Byard this week, so maybe that's what they're doing. But like you said, Atlanta's run defense is great. So even that advantage that Tennessee has, how big of an advantage will it be? The Desmond Ridder thing is kind of the question. If Desmond Ridder turns the ball over, if he makes mistakes, again, you're going to have a new safety out there now. So that's going to be it shouldn't be that difficult of a spot for Atlanta. But I guess that's probably why it is close. Why is Ryan Tannehill on the Titans and not on the Falcons, Kyle?
Yeah.
That just feels like just have him walk across the the field in the middle of this game.
Yeah, I actually think Ritter's been all right.
Yeah, he's not been bad. It's those fumbles. Outside of fumbles, he had a good week last week.
He commits 1 billion turnovers.
Yeah,
and
but you can't win with that. I mean, but that's the thing, though, right? Because like the whole way this offense is set up is to not turn the ball over.
Yeah, it's like he openly seeks turnovers too. Like it's like it's not even like the turnover like he's literally running into the end zone and just doesn't stretch the ball over the goal line and turns it over. Those are the kind of turnovers he's committing. It's not even like just good plays by defense. It's like just ridiculousness on his part. So, but yeah, I mean, when he throws the ball all right, he hits his guys. I don't know. It's bizarre. So he is a confounding quarterback. I agree with that. Like Tannehill would definitely be a more stable option, and it'll be interesting to see what Atlanta does this offseason with that, especially if they win this division. Like, is Ridder going to be the long-term answer? Like, are they going to look for the long-term answer this offseason, especially if this team looks good? They're in a position now to win this division. They really are. So it'll be interesting to see how that looks. I think they're the better team in this game. I do like the Falcons in this spot.
Yeah, I think you're making a mistake by not locking it up, Kyle. I'm going to be honest.
I've got a game I'm circling here. I'm circling the wagons on this game. I feel pretty good about it.
Okay, I guess is it a Buffalo game? Well, we'll get there. Okay, Kyle, give me a game.
No, I'm going to give you that game right now. Bucks at Bills.
Okay, yeah. I mean, again, a bit of an early spot. I'm assuming I know where you're going now. But Buccaneers, Bills. I'm taking the Bills to win this one, but I do have to say I kind of like the Bucks plus 8.5. This feels like a long.
Me too.
Maybe it's just me being a homer. Feels like a bit of a large line. I know Tampa Bay, when they played good defenses, have struggled this season offensively. Just in general, they've struggled this season offensively. But the Bills' defense is banged up. What are we going to get? I am a little concerned about the blitz heavy, Todd Bowles stuff. I think the better way to play Josh Allen usually is to drop back into coverage. Although when New England blitzed Buffalo, they weren't that great last week. So maybe there is something. Just in general, there's a lot of holes on this Bills team. I don't I
Mhm.
don't love this Bills roster. Like I don't see how you can have them in the same tier right now as these top teams in the league, as like Philadelphia, Miami, Kansas City, like Baltimore even. Like I think you can throw Baltimore in there now. I don't think you can put Buffalo in.
Yeah, the problem is that the second you start to really doubt and disregard Buffalo is when Josh Allen goes and hangs 45 on somebody.
Sure.
Um, and it's still you still may be right that this team is a contender, and I probably agree with you that it's not a contender right now. But this is the exact spot that Josh Allen goes and drops 45 on somebody, and that's the concern. I do agree with you. I do like Tampa Bay plus 8.5 more in this spot, and this secondary is good, and this run defense is good. They have all the pieces to seemingly defend this Bills offense and defend Josh Allen well. I mean, they even got athletes between, Shaq Barrett and all these guys. They got athletes to chase Josh Allen around too. So he's not going to be able to just run and scramble for everything. But it is concerning because it is Josh Allen and he is explosive and he can make those plays. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Another interesting thing, the stoppable force, meaning the movable object in this one, as Tampa Bay Buccaneers rush offense, 30th EPA wise, the Bills bottom 10 in terms of rush defense. So what will win out there? Tampa Bay is still going to try to establish the run. So what they do, will they be able to get some semblance of a running game going in this one?
We'll see. I mean, if you watch that, did you go back and watch the Patriots Bills?
Yes.
So this Bills defense across this secondary doesn't look good at all.
Yeah.
Mac Jones diced them, which is
Yeah.
silly to say, but he really diced them. And a lot of quick passing game. Like I could see Baker Mayfield having a similarly good game. This Teron Johnson, I don't think he knows how to cover without holding guys. And he got away with it at the end of that Giants game, and he got called for it like 3 or 4 times in the game last week. Like I have concerns about this secondary for sure, and also they're not a good run defense. So like maybe Tampa Bay has success in that part. Maybe Tampa Bay is able to throw the ball on this team a lot. I don't know how this is going to go. This feels like it should be a lot closer, just because I distrust so many things about this Buffalo team.
Yeah, I can see a scenario where Buffalo does, like you said, there's always if Josh Allen is Josh Allen and at his best, you're losing kind of factor when you're talking about the Bills. I also think that, I don't know, there's a chance Tampa Bay wins this one. I'm going into this game probably too optimistic.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't know, like, convince me, Buffalo. Sell me that you're good enough to do this. You have to show it to me.
Yep, completely agree. Let's move on. So 7 games left to talk about. I will give you, let's go, I don't know. Again, it's weird. I know which game you're locking up, so I don't want to give you that one. How about let's go Eagles balls. Washington played Philadelphia close earlier this year. Philadelphia coming off a big win. Is this a letdown week for them?
This is not a letdown for them. This is an overreaction to 2 good games for Washington against this Eagles team. I am locking up Philadelphia. I'm getting them under a touchdown. Philadelphia is winning this game by a touchdown. A.J. Brown has probably been the best offensive player in the league the last couple of weeks. He's been insane basically since that last Washington game. I think Philadelphia is a better team. They're in a better spot here. And this is all just a reaction to Washington playing a couple close games against this team. I don't think it happens again. I think Philly blows them out.
Wow. So what's going to be different this time? Because it is worth mentioning. Philadelphia was a second away, I guess 2 seconds away from winning by 7 last week, right? It was that literally last second touchdown with Sam Howell to tie it up, send it to overtime, where they eventually lost there. So it is, them losing by 7 is totally in the cards here. Sam Howell loves to take sacks. It's funny because like the offensive line for Washington is actually like it's graded out pretty solid. Like basically every
Mhm.
advanced metric has them as like a pretty solid offensive line. Like not a great offensive line, but not terrible. But they're on pace to take the most sacks like in NFL history because of how much Sam Howell loves to take sacks.
Yeah. And this is not a good defense that you want to hold the ball against. I will say that. There are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of talented players in this defensive line. We've done a lot about Philadelphia's defensive line. It's probably the best
Mm-hmm.
in the league. So
Yeah.
this is a really bad group to go up against that. And, you know, I've been critical of this group all season. I was really impressed with the way they covered last week. I really was. And
Mm-hmm.
between that and like, I mean, the Hassan Reddick transformation to where now he is like just a really good run defender too. It's the most
Mm-hmm.
baffling thing ever because like that wasn't his thing for so long. But between that and I think they're gonna be able to slow down the run. I think the secondary played a lot better this past week than it has all season. I'm hoping that momentum rides. And we touched on it for a second. I don't know how much impact he's going to make in his first game, but this Kevin Byard thing looks like an absolute fleece right now, right? Like a
Yeah.
5th and 6th round pick for this level as a safety. Like I said, I don't know how much of an impact he's making right off the gate, but for a secondary that I thought played really well last week, it added maybe its best player to this secondary over the weekend. So I think this is a huge get for Philadelphia in this spot.
Yeah, and they could use another safety too. So yeah, that really,
Mhm.
I agree. That really helps them. One other notable thing: so AJ Brown went completely off the last time these two teams played. Also worth mentioning though, Emmanuel Forbes was still getting significant playing time at the time. They have
Mhm.
now since gone away from that. So perhaps an advantage for Washington there. Not that Danny Johnson is some superstar or anything, but like I think that could help here.
Maybe. Yeah, I agree. I don't think anyone's stopping AJ Brown at this point. Like,
But you might not give up 178 yards or whatever it was last time.
yeah, that's possible.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, who if you had a vote if you had a vote, who would you pick for offensive player right now? Him or Tyreek? Or I guess you
I
could throw Christian McCaffrey in there, but I don't think you
Yeah,
would.
Christian McCaffrey's winning MVP, so I don't need to, can't give him all the awards. Tyreek Hill.
You would.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean, I do think it's Tyreek still, but AJ is definitely closing the gap fast, which is saying something because Tyreek's still playing out of his mind. But AJ Brown has been, I mean, sensational the last 5 weeks of the year, and that included a game against Washington. So I just feel like at this point, if I'm getting Philadelphia against, I know this has been a close game the last 2 times, but I just feel like if I'm getting Philadelphia less than a touchdown against a mediocre to bad football team, I have to take it. I have to take it in this spot.
Yeah, sure. No, I don't. I don't hate the lock. I'm a little surprised by how confident you are, but we'll see. You've been. We'll see how well it works out. Kyle, give me a game.
Uh, uh Texans at Panthers. I
Yeah,
guess this is the next close game.
I thought you were locking up this one. Obviously, I thought that this was where you were going, so I was trying to not give it to you. But I still feel okay about picking Houston here. The
Yeah.
3-point spread goes after a couple 6.5 point spreads, and an 8.5 point spread. I don't know. I mean, what has Carolina done to really show that they are a team that deserves to only be 3-point underdogs at this point? I mean, I can't get behind them here. Houston's looked solid this year. They haven't looked great, but they've looked solid. I think Will Anderson Jr. has actually looked really good this season. The obviously him and CJ Stroud have been the key driving factors. I don't think Houston's amazing or anything, but I think that they are a solid team that should be able to beat Carolina. And hey, for Houston, you have playoff hopes at this point. If you're a Houston fan, you're hoping to see if you can try to make a run at it. Got to win this game to make it happen.
Yeah, I guess the thing, like, if you were to paint the picture of how the Panthers win this game, it's basically like this coverage unit is better than their run defense. Their run defense is, or wait, sorry, I have it backwards now. No, wait, I had it right. This run defense is not good, right? It's dead last in the league by a significant margin. The Texans haven't run the ball well all year, and a lot of that has a lot to do with their struggles with the offensive line injuries. So maybe they're still not able to run the ball as effectively, even against this Panthers run defense. This coverage unit is better for the Panthers. They have a decent pass rush. All those things play a part. They slow down this Texans offense and CJ Stroud a little bit. I still have concerns for Bryce Young for the first few weeks of this season. I do think their last couple of games he's played marginally better. So like maybe they hit a few big plays, something like that happens, makes it close. Like I think that's a possibility, but I do think the Texans are a better team. So
Yeah. Well said, Kyle. Meanwhile, the chat is talking about how good looking I am. Great takes going on in the chat.
look at you, man. You're on
Mhm.
fire.
I mean, you gotta, I think most people just subscribe to me for my looks, right?
I would say so.
Yeah, I think that's even though I don't show my face in most of my videos.
I was gonna say, how many years did it take you to start showing your face in videos?
Yeah, it was weird because I would show it like I remember like for the first like couple years, I wasn't like not showing my face. It's just like it was a stylistic choice not to. But every now and then I'd show my face in a random video, and people would be like, "Whoa, thanks for the face reveal," even though I had like done like a face reveal like a ton times before. It was an interesting thing.
You just need like a POV cam of you while you're doing the
Kel,
film.
are you wait? Hold on. Are you arguing with? Are you going back and forth with the chatters while we are podcasting?
Always, man. I haven't actually. That was the first time I sent a chat. So
Okay. Well, Texans Panthers. Yeah, I mean, battle the first picks. Bryce Young's got to play okay in this one, right? Dial up every trick play you can. Try to get the yardage totals up. If you got to make him look good in this one.
What if he throws for like 350 in this game? 3 touchdowns. Just looks awesome. It's just like saving it all for this game, baby.
Well, we'll see if that happens. That would be impressive. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I am not buying in on this Panthers team.
I agree with you, but I don't think. Would you be shocked if this is their first win of the year? I don't think I'd be shocked.
Yeah, it's possible. This is a game where, and that's kind of the one thing I feel like you're going to get up for this game because you don't want to go 0-17. That's something that Panthers, if you're a Panthers player, you want to get a win in here, especially when you don't even have your first overall pick. I feel like this is the game that they might, this is their Super Bowl.
Yeah, it might be that point. So we'll see how it goes. Hoping for you Panthers fans, mainly because I want better of a draft position. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Oh man, already looking at draft position. It's tough. I think my team might be there in a couple weeks, but not right now. I'm going to give you a game. Man, there is not a lot left. This might be an insane take, but it makes sense in my head right now. Patriots Dolphins, because Bill Belichick finds a way to get these weird upsets. They did play the Dolphins pretty tight earlier this year, so it's the biggest spread, 9.5 points. But Kyle, it's the game I'm giving you.
Yeah, bit of a disrespectful line, I think. 9.5 is steep. That being said, somehow, some way, Tua hasn't lost to New England. He hasn't lost to New England. That being said, like, I think these games have been closer than people are giving him credit for. Like, they did win 20-7 week 1 last year, but it seems like these two teams always play close, which is why I don't like the 9.5 spread. That being said, Miami's a better team. And while New England did keep this close last time they played, just a few weeks ago, that was with Christian Gonzalez and Matt Judon. I don't know how much success they have against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in this game without those two. So, yeah, I think I'll take – because they're going to have to blitz more to get pass rush pressure. So, I will take Miami to win in this game. I don't love 9.5.
DG in the chat says should be 19.5, Kyle. Banned for life, I think. Kyle's going to ban DG for life. Kyle, I got to be honest, I don't hate this line. I think that with the injuries, like I said, I mean, Christian Gonzalez was key in that first matchup. And, like, without him, like, I think I think there is about an equally as good chance the Dolphins cover a 9.5 point spread than don't cover a 9.5 point spread. However, I kind of feel like what happens here is either Miami wins by 100 or this is like a close game that goes down to the wire.
Yeah. No, I do think there is a opportunity for that. There is some blowout potential, but for all the flack we've given Bill Belichick, and rightfully so, I don't think I think he's deserved a lot of criticism for coaching. Like, he's going to put two guys on Tyreek Hill this entire game. It's the same MO every time. He's not letting Tyreek Hill win this game. And in fact, the last time these two teams played, granted, again, a lot of that was because Christian Gonzalez was so good in that game. The Dolphins won that game offensively on the ground. They ran the ball like crazy. Raheem Mostert had a big game in that one, which he could do again in this game. But, that's basically how they're going to try and win it. And, despite having some really successful running games, I still would bet on the Patriots competing more if the Dolphins are running the ball a lot compared to Tyreek Hill having a big game. So I think that's basically what it's going to come down to. Can they hit these explosive run plays that they usually have in their passing game? Because I just don't think the Patriots are going to let as much of that happen or try. They're going to try and prevent much more of that than they have. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Could also see, I think there's a possibility Jalen Waddle ends up having a big day in this one because, like you said, getting less attention than Tyreek Hill. If the Patriots win this game, are you back?
I guess I'd have to be, man. 3-5. Let's ride.
Hey, there's always one team that starts off terrible and then ends up making the playoffs. Maybe it's the Patriots this year.
That'd be crazy. 1-5 start.
Yeah.
That being said,
But the Lions last year were 1-5. They nearly made the playoffs.
That's true. So, Patriots, they made some changes to the offensive line. I touched on those Sunday. They got Trent Brown and Michael Onyenwu out on those tackle spots, just two behemoths. I think their offensive tackle position averages like 365 pounds now, which is just insane between those two. They're large. They're going to push people around. That's how they're going to try and win this game. We'll see if it works. I'm not convinced, but, they looked a lot better last week, so I have to be a little more optimistic.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Obviously, need Mac Jones to keep it going from what he did last week. All right, Kyle, give me a game. 4 games left.
All right, what's next on my list here? Ravens at Cardinals. Why not?
Okay. Yeah, I'm picking the Ravens to win. I don't know. Ravens have had some letdown games this year, so I get why you're giving it to me here. They also, I feel like, isn't this just the kind of thing when the Ravens play a bad secondary, like over the past few years, they just like win by a million?
Yeah, potentially. I don't know. This just screams the kind of game that like we're looking at like 2.5 minutes left and the Cardinals have the ball down 16-10, right? Like
maybe I don't know if they can hold this team to 16 points, especially after what they did last week.
I get it, but at the same time, this is just kind of what the Ravens are sometimes, it feels like. I agree with that. And it's like all of a sudden it's like 16-10 and they get a strip sack and all of a sudden this game's over. Ravens win 23-10, they cover, nobody is worried at all. But it's just such a weird team sometimes, man. They're just like that. But at the same time, like again, they look so good last week. You can't really fault the Ravens. You can't really fault betting against betting on the Ravens -8.5 here because they looked absolutely nasty last week.
Yeah, listen, I get it. I do have to say, though, I feel like a lot of times when the Ravens end up having these bad performances, it's because the team plays man against them and has corners who can man up. And we saw Detroit try to do that at times last week, and they couldn't do it. And that's kind of like this new look Ravens a little bit, is they've found ways to make it happen. Kyle, Lamar Jackson, currently PFF's #1 rated quarterback.
He's looked great. I mean, he was sensational. Like, that's probably the best quarterback performance of the season last week.
Yeah, I think so.
I would say of any quarterback, that was the best performance of the season. And it was really good. The way he bought time, the way he fought off so many like potential sack opportunities, I thought it was all really impressive. So yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson's really good. Hot take. I think he if he continues to play that well, Ravens will be contenders. So we'll see how it goes this week. I mean, they're a way better team. So, but these are all blowouts. That's what this week's looking like.
Right. The Ravens coming up, or the Cardinals coming off of now 4 straight 10-point losses, which is obviously not ideal. Great uniform matchup though.
Great uniform matchup. We're getting murmurs of Kyler Murray coming back. This would be a lot more fun if Kyler Murray's playing.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Like I would love to see that. Just these two play, but maybe they get him back in a couple weeks here, and then maybe Cardinals win a couple more games.
Marquise Brown revenge game.
He might get a nice 75-yard game. That's about it.
Yeah, sure. There you go. Let's move on. 3 games left. Kyle, I'm going to give you. I'll give you the divisional matchup. Chiefs Broncos. This game was close. The Chiefs covered in a very weird way. Just a couple weeks ago, playing each other twice very soon. Kyle, where are you going?
Chiefs.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to this Broncos defense to where now they're like playing like competitive, but obviously it's a welcome sight for Broncos fans that they're at least competing in these games because their defense is playing better. It's at least looking more like the defense we expected. So that's a huge step forward. That being said, the Chiefs are better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the Chiefs are really good. The Chiefs have to be, I get that it's hard to, I think kind of similar to how I felt last year. Feels like the Eagles have to be Super Bowl favorites because of they're in a weaker conference, but it feels like the Chiefs are like, if who's the best team today, I think I'm probably picking Kansas City.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard it's hard to pick against them after last week too. So,
If they
yeah,
didn't,
I mean, I would agree
if
with that.
Kadarius Toney could catch a football, they're undefeated right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's looked that good. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. And if this offense is going to get rolling out, it's hard to pick a team again. It's hard to bet against them, even though this offense has statistically been pretty good this year. I still feel like there's one more trade in them for a receiver. That's the one thing I'm waiting on. Do they get one more guy? But it's looked really good, so can't complain.
Yeah, we can move on. I don't know how much we have to talk about that one. Kyle, last decision to make on which game you're giving someone. Bears, Chargers, and Raiders, Lions. Which one are you going to give me to pick, and then which one will you then have to pick?
Bears and Chargers.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I get, like, I think the question is with the Bears, Chargers, like, do the Chargers deserve to be 8.5-point favorites against anybody? I'm picking the Chargers. I don't know. Is Tyson Bagent going to play? Hey, he looked pretty good last week. I actually liked what I saw from him. I don't know how repeatable that is, but it's one of those things where everyone joked about, like, oh, because I missed the Bears Raiders game live, and I think people were joking like, you don't even have to watch that one. I think I made like 3 film studies on that game, so who knows how this stuff works.
Yeah, it was at least like he hung in there. Like he looks like a solid backup quarterback again.
Yeah,
like that's just one of those things. So he's at least got that. They got that in their back pocket. Like you said, like I don't trust this Chargers team just at all. So them being 8.5-point favorites is just disrespectful. And
right.
this Bears team, like, look, they're still not good, but they've at least been explosive in a couple games. So maybe they compete a little bit that way because this Chargers defense is just horrible. So I think that plays a big part. But at the same time, I'm not picking them to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's a get right game for the Chargers offense. If the Chargers lose this game, Brandon Staley's done, right? He's fired that. They don't wait till Monday to fire him that day.
Yeah, he's out if they lose, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, this is you have to win this game. I mean, you're trying to. They still do have playoff hopes at this point at 2-4. That's what they're still trying to do in the organization. They still feel like they can turn it around. Who knows? Maybe they will be the team that starts off terrible. And if there is going to be a team, it could be it. I wouldn't bet on that, but it's I'm not saying I said I wouldn't bet on it. I'm just saying if there is going to be a team that we think has no chance to make the playoffs right now, they're an option. Also, Kenneth-Lee, Staley versus Eberflus, an epic showdown. Yes, a great coaching matchup in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, who's the team that we're sitting here right now saying, oh, no chance they're going to make the playoffs, that could make the playoffs? It's probably them or, like, I don't know, maybe Washington.
No chance they make the playoffs. I mean, probably Tennessee because that team never dies.
Yeah, it's Tennessee. You're right. Tennessee's the one. Yeah, you know it.
Tennessee's the one. Yeah, I guess, there's a chance DJ Moore gets like $160 in this game.
Yep.
That's probably the Bears' path to winning.
Can they win this game if DJ Moore does not get triple-digit yard totals?
No, they cannot.
Yeah. Right, yeah. But I think he's going to get triple-digit yard totals, so I think it's okay.
Yeah, that's true. So this will be good. This will be closer than people think.
Wait, this game's not. Is this game? Someone said this is. How is this the Sunday night game? What are we doing?
This was a mistake. That's what it was.
It's not even like you can even. I mean, the Bears have a big fan base, but like the Chargers have. It's not even like it's two NFC East teams where it's like, well, they both have big fan bases.
I don't know who looked at the schedule and said, 49ers Bengals is not Sunday night, but this game is. I don't know.
Yeah, going into it, even like Texans Panthers, Like, okay, that would be like one that would make sense of like, oh, the number one and number two quarterback playing each other. Like, there's at least like intrigue there.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
I
I
don't
would
know.
like it. I would like it over this. Is what I mean, how do we? They must have just thought the Bears and Chargers would both be like decent this year, right?
No, I think they were thinking Herbert and Fields.
Well, no, I think they probably just thought that they were both like right. People thought the Bears would be good this year,
Man, I don't know how anybody thought that.
but people were. We were. Our hot take was the Bears weren't going to be good this year.
Yeah, I guess maybe people were thinking that. It still feels lunacy. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, and then I guess both minutes one. Man, that's a tough one. I don't get why that didn't get flexed.
Yeah, I guess there was like Justin Fields preseason MVP hype.
Yeah, I mean there was people were, and I guess they probably figured at least one of these teams would be good.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. So I don't know. Tough sell.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Final game to talk about. I am giving you Raiders Lions. Kyle, I'm assuming you're picking the Lions here.
Yeah.
I mean, do we know Garoppolo's health here?
We don't. It says questionable. And I mean the huge problem in the stark contrast is that how bad it looked without Jimmy Garoppolo of all people.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem. If it looks that bad without Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know how optimistic it could be about your team. We've talked a lot about this Raiders team. Max Crosby is still a stud. We've said that basically every week, but at least with this Lions team, like the best part of this team is their offensive tackles. Like, I don't think it's going to be as easily of a dominant Max Crosby day, even though he's going to get his wins. He's going to win a few plays. But at the same time, he's going against two offensive tackles that are both really good. So that's going to be a tough matchup for him. So yeah, I got the Lions.
I mean, here's the way the Raiders can win is we just saw the Lions defense look like last year's Lions defense. And while it was probably just, kind of a bad matchup and the Ravens just, made some nice plays, there is that concern. And if Garoppolo plays, can this be a game that the Josh McDaniels offense can work in and they can move the ball down the field? We also have, Donnie Darko in the chat saying Cowboys defense is actually ranked top 3 in run defensive EPA, if not number 1. Interesting, but regardless, I'm looking at it right. I believe it's 5th.
They're top 5. Yeah.
But again, part of that is just the game situation of when teams are running the football. They're usually down a lot in some of these games, but they have looked better this year for sure. But it's more the Arizona game that I think is hanging with us right now and previous history. But back to the Raiders Lions. That's the hope, right? Is that you can outscore them, and maybe Jared Goff doesn't have a great day.
Yeah, I mean, you got to hope you can outscore them. I mean, the issue is that when you're looking at this Raiders team, like, yeah, I don't think Detroit's defense played well at all. I mean, nobody could say their defense played well last week, but I think part of that was also Lamar could just buy so much time. Like some of those big plays for the Ravens is that Lamar was able to make it like a 6, 7, 8 second play.
Yeah.
I don't even know who the best athlete is in this Raiders quarterback room, but they're probably not even like in the 10th percentile compared to Lamar.
Right.
That's
not necessarily even a big insult there. I mean, Lamar's a very athletic quarterback. I don't know if Brian Hoyer is going to quite pull off the same moves there.
I don't know. I would venture to say he will not.
Yeah, I would assume. But again, you got better receivers. Well, at least I don't know. Devontae Adams is really good. Jacoby Myers is good.
Yeah. I mean, they have to win one-on-one matchups. That's how this team wins.
Which is possible, but unlikely. I agree. The Lions should be favored here. I want to see a bounce back. I want to see a bounce back game from the Lions offense. That's what I want to see. It's kind of one of those, hey, you want to be a championship contender. You want to prove you're a championship contender coming off of a couple of disappointing offensive performances, including just a bad loss last week. Go blow out the Raiders here.
Yep. I agree with that. They should win this game handedly, but Raiders have been weird this year, so maybe they have a good Raiders performance.
Yeah, so that is it. That's our show. Kyle, let me know if you can find us on Twitter before they head out.
Hi. Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Ronan, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Is that your dog?
Yeah, she just decided to show up right at the end.
You
of
got
the
to show the
show.
dog.
She doesn't like being picked up, but I'll give it a try.
Well, can't you just turn your camera? Why are we?
But there she is.
No, there we go. Oh,
Say hi, Luna. All right, that's it for Luna.
Yeah, it's like DG said, Kyle's stomach growled. It did kind of look like for a second that your stomach growled, and then you looked at your stomach and said hi, like you have ongoing communication with your stomach.
That would have been funny, but yeah, it would have. No, just her whining. She's ready to go.
Okay, well, we'll let the dog get out of there. Did you have any thoughts on the World Series matchup?
It's gonna be fun. Adolis Garcia has just turned into an absolute star. I mean, he was a menace in that game. That entire series, basically, don't poke the bear. And I mean, that's going to be fun. And both of these teams, I think, have really been able to hit this postseason at least. So that'll be good. And Corbin Carroll is going to be a name for everybody to learn because I think he was basically the undisputed best prospect in baseball last year, and he's in the World Series. I think it's going to be awesome to see such a young player on the big stage.
Yeah. And how about Evan Longoria? 15 years after going to the World Series in 2008, now getting a chance at redemption.
Burying the lead here, your guy. I mean, that's awesome too. So yeah, I mean, this Diamondbacks team, like, I'm still not convinced it's good, but it's the run of a lifetime. So just enjoy it.
Yeah, you don't have to be good to win the World Series.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's this weird, stupid playoff format but it's fun.
They made the playoffs on a negative run differential. They just hit the ball in the playoffs. Yeah, I know. It's so bizarre. They just started to hit the ball in the postseason. So crazy. Absolutely crazy. But I mean, they got some fun players. They got some studs, so maybe it works out.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but everyone was talking about how great Bryce Harper is, and so I'm like, he's not that great. Like, he obviously is. Like, and he's a great personality and everything, but just everyone was like all like on him, and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. Didn't come through in Game 7, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it definitely did not. It was great, real exciting Game 7. But fun World Series. We're going to talk about it more. I know we have places to be. So if you like audio only podcast, anywhere you get the audio only, anywhere you get your podcast, the audio only feed is available. Just search On the Sideline podcast. Any final thoughts, Kyle?
No, looking forward to the next game. Let's get after it. Next group of games, let's get after it. Basketball this week. Looking forward to it all. Let's do it.
Yeah, Joe says, so that's why you hate my Giants, Jackson. What? I don't follow.
I don't get it.
What do you mean? Yeah.
What'd you
Sorry,
do?
Joe. What do we have to? I think I have to stay around to get a response from Joe.
Is this because of the Diamondbacks? Are they the Giants of the MLB? The Diamondbacks?
Oh, probably, potentially. But I'm not saying I dislike the Diamondbacks. Are great. I'm rooting for them to win the World Series.
Are you? Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone was over the Giants last. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if people were too high on the Giants.
Yeah, that's true. But
I don't do that in football. Only other sports. Football, because I cover it. I feel like I go the other way, where because I'll talk about how good Mahomes is, and people will be like, "He's not that good," and so then I go the other way for football. But every other sport, I do that.
Yeah, that's fair. So fair enough.
Right. Well, okay. Well, I'll let you get out of here. Thanks to everybody again. We do appreciate it. And until next time, have a good one.
Peace.